Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode. Just finished off a little bit of 2K prep, so a lovely 10-minute steady. Got the fan on behind me to try and keep me cool as it heats up in Yamcave V2 as we head straight into summer on this lovely day with some lovely blue skies. But anyway, we're talking today about 2K prep once more, but this time we're talking about, as you can tell from the title, the mental game of a 2K and the mental preparation for a 2K itself, and some tips that you could use to improve your 2K, because one of the biggest questions I get asked is not so much how can I improve my 2K by training, it's how can I get over a mental block, or I'm really nervous for this 2K, what can I do to help with those nerves? Or it's a case of not necessarily the physical things that you could improve to improve your 2K, but more the mental game for a 2K. And there are a few things that you can do to help improve your mental outlook on a 2K. And I think number one is the combining sort of the physical and mental to improve your mental game. And what I mean by that is, like I talked about yesterday in the 2K strategies video, if you haven't seen that, you can go back and watch that. But it's a case of, if you can do a 2K multiple times a year, it becomes less of that massive test, that massive piece, that huge amount of pressure, because instead of that one time a year, you get multiple attempts at it. And not only is it a multiple attempt, so maybe if you do badly on one, you could do better on another, but it also gives you the opportunity to find out, okay, I've done a 2K and it went terribly. Why did I do so badly? Well, it might have been a case of you went out too hard. It might have been a case of it was too hot in the room, so maybe next time you have to cool it down. Maybe your prep into the 2K itself wasn't quite right, so you know what to change. Maybe it was a fueling issue. Maybe it was a sleep issue, but there's so many things that can affect your ability on a certain day that if you repeat a 2K multiple times, then you can see what works best for you. And then by seeing what works best physically for you, it also gives you the opportunity to work mentally through a 2K and see, okay, this one feels like it's going to be hard, but if I dig in mentally, I know when it's going to hurt and I know when I can push on mentally and physically and then get the best score out of yourself. So repeating a 2K multiple times can really help you improve your 2K and improve that mental game, because really you know what to expect. And then there's another thing called visualization. So it's kind of similar to repeating the 2K, but instead of actually doing the 2K itself, you can lie down, have a seat, chill out, relax, whatever it is, close your eyes, and imagine yourself doing the 2K. So for me, it would be a case of, okay, I'm sitting on bay, I'm looking down at my watch, seeing my heart rate, and then I'm picking up the handle, and I'm ready to go, and I get that first stroke off really nicely, and I see a good split coming down, and I'm through the first 100 meters already. I've taken a good first 10 strokes. I'm feeling like I've pushed quite hard, but now it's time to breathe for the next 800 or so. And you can go through the entire 2K like that multiple times. Maybe we go like this, okay? I've sat down on bay. Oh, I'm not very comfortable. The foot strap's falling off a little bit. I look down at my heart rate watch. The heart rate watch isn't working. Okay, now, the battery's dead on the screen. I need to replace the battery. Okay, I pick up the handle. Oh, I drop the handle. Okay, pick up the handle again. Okay, I get into the 2K, that didn't feel so good, but now, let's try and breathe. It's not really working. Breathe. And so you can prepare for the eventualities that may not be perfect for you by visualizing, because obviously you can't just do 2K, because it is an incredibly taxing thing, especially if you do it flat out. You can't really expect to do a flat out 2K, properly flat out 2K. I wouldn't say once a week would probably be pushing it, and even then it's still not a great idea. And if you really want to peak for something, regardless if it's a 2K or anything else, you have to be able to back off from it and then go again and taper and all that stuff. So visualizing gives you the opportunity to go through mentally what you are or could possibly go through on the day without actually putting yourself through the physical pain that you would be with a 2K. And so you could sit down for, say it's 20 minutes once a week, or 20 minutes before, the day before the 2K itself, and just go through some scenarios, go through like ideal ones that you want to go through ones that might be, that issues that might pop up, like perhaps, like I said, heart rate watch stops working and you think, oh, I need to do something, or the batteries aren't working. What do you have to do if that happens? But it really does help sort of give you that little bit of relaxation if that thing does happen in the actual event itself. So for example, I visualized dropping the handle at some point during the row, and then I actually do that during the row, and I have almost thought to myself, okay, I just pick up the handle and keep going, rather than if I hadn't visualized it as, okay, right, I need to, okay, do I stop, do I keep going? But who knows? And that's why visualization is really, really good. And then dealing with a 2K mentally, when you're in the 2K itself, it's getting the plan down for you. And that really, with visualization and doing a 2K multiple times, can really help get the plan together for you. So my plan generally goes like an amount of hard strokes, depending on how I'm feeling, about 10 hard strokes. And that's because I get, well, everyone has their creatine, phosphate energy stores essentially, and you can use them up to a certain extent, and they're used very quickly, or at least that's the very high level description. And by using them really quickly, it doesn't really use any other energies. But there obviously is a fine line. It doesn't not use any other energies, but that's how some people describe it. It's free strokes. So I definitely don't see it as free strokes. And that's why I say it can kind of vary on the day. Sometimes I feel really up for it and I'm ready, okay, we're going for 10 hard strokes. Sometimes 7 hard strokes, and it can kind of vary. But a few hard strokes anyway, get off the start, and then settle in for the next K or so, really. But what I do, going through the 2K itself, instead of just saying, okay, I've taken my 10 hard strokes, now get to the finish, I use different numbers that I like to see as milestones, as okay, I'm doing well, I'm feeling good. How am I feeling through, say, for example, 555? How am I feeling going through 777? How am I feeling going through sort of 1111? And then when the numbers switch down into 3 figures, it's okay, I'm in 3 figures now, I'm no longer in 4 figures. That's a good shift down. And then there's different numbers that I feel like, okay, if I'm feeling good, I can move from here. If I'm not feeling so good, I can hold here. And then generally, for everyone it's a bit different, but there's a number or a time that you get to when you're thinking to yourself, it's only, say, 10 strokes, 100 meters, 172 meters, 333, wherever it is, it's only that distance, I can go all out from there. And that's kind of figuring out and visualizing and preparing yourself, doing the 2Ks multiple times. You can see, you start to learn your plan so that when it does come to the 2K day, that it's not a surprise. And that's the biggest thing about mental preparation and how you can get the best out of yourself mentally, is trying not to let anything be a surprise. Obviously, we can't control everything, so some things can happen on the day of a test or on the day of a race and it can surprise you. But it's trying to limit the amount of surprises, and then if a surprise does happen, having some plans in place. But obviously you can't plan for everything, but if you can plan for sort of things that could happen, then if they do happen, you're thinking, okay, I'm ready for that. But at the same time, I know the argument of some people is, well, if you plan for, say, a negative thing to happen, then the likelihood is it's going to happen, or is more likely to happen. Well, I kind of disagree with that, because you don't really know what's going to happen. Like I said about dropping the handle, you don't know if you will, you don't know if you won't, and if you're thinking about, if you're thinking about, okay, I'm gonna do it, yes, it's gonna be more likely, but it's more sort of compartmentalizing the visualization. Say, okay, I visualized this race, that was a bad one. I visualized this good one, I visualized this medium one, and I visualized this really good one. And so if you're worried about sort of the likelihood of things happening because you've thought about it more, well, visualize the good races, visualize more good races, but have maybe it's 20% of not so good and 80% good ones, so that 80% outweighs the bad, and hopefully that makes sense. But the mental game for a 2K and for any race piece, for any hard workout, is absolutely massive, especially when you're pushing the limits of what you can do, and it's on that sort of cliff edge where you're, oh, I could fly and die here, I might not, I could do well, I might not do well. And it can be really important to have that mental game right, rather than just sort of, yeah, I'll see what happens on the day and then hopefully we do well. And hopefully this helps a little bit with your next 2K, your next race piece, about mentally preparing for a 2K or a race. Because really the mental game is such a big factor in everything, not just rowing, really. So that will be it for today's little chat, Yam Squad. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it does help and you can improve. Let me know in the comments below if you do anything before a 2K to help you mentally. I know everyone has their little things that they can do to help them, so share them with the Yam Squad. And as always, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and I will see you tomorrow.